No, sizzling.
Sizzling. We were back there sizzling along with the sizzle reel.
Yes.
Welcome to Tampa. So excited to have you here.
Thrilled to be back. Been through Florida many times for many different reasons, and it's always wonderful to get back. You know, it's hell on my hair, but that's okay.
Was one of those reasons you came to Florida to play music?
Yeah. Oh, were you? Oh my God, you're springing this on me. Were you at one of the gigs?
No, but I know that you've toured a lot with your band.
Yeah, back in the day, the Pipe Fitters, my buddies from Texas, all the Texas expatriates, they were hanging out in Hollywood in the late 80s and 90s. So yeah, we used to tour the country, and we would almost always start in Nashville because our booker was there, and then we'd like swing down into Florida, and then up the East Coast. And, yeah, those were some times.
What's the craziest thing that happened while you were in Florida?
No.
If I give you pop guys?
I don't recall. And the fifth comes to me for some reason, because I think there's a statute of limitations that probably has not run out here. And I've said this about the Young Guns set many times. We were all very fortunate that TMZ did not exist and nobody had camera phones. So whatever you heard, it's a lie!
Just a little taste of your chaos off camera?
We used to have a lot of fun. Okay, here's the strangest thing. We never recorded an album, and it's still, to this day, one of my biggest regrets. But I'm in touch with all the guys, and we may still do that, because a lot of the songs are actually really quite good. I sang and wrote the lyrics and wrote a lot of the music with Chris Lindsay and a bunch of the guys. And we actually opened up for some really big people at times. We played a lot of summer festivals. We opened up for Billy Ray Cyrus 5 times. I know, right? And so the first show was in Salt Lake City, and Billy comes backstage afterwards. By the way, the dude did Achy Breaky 6 times during the set. It's like, gonna open with Achy Breaky, we're gonna play right there in the middle in case they forgot. Then we're gonna play it again, then we're gonna close with it, and it's the encore.
Is there such a thing as too much Achy Breaky heart?
Right? Yeah. You can get an Achy Breaky. You can get achy.
Achy Breaky earache?
Well, it's a mistakey to play so much achy. But he came onto our bus, and he goes, he's got a little bit of an underbite. He goes, all right, listen, here's what we're gonna do. Next show, I want you guys to find Lou an Elvis costume, and he's gonna come riding on a white horse onto the stage. And he thought that was a brilliant idea.
Did you do it?
And so Billy leaves the bus, and I said, if anybody finds an Elvis costume or a white horse, either or, you're out of this band.
So no horseback riding on the stage?
I saved that for movies where they can beat me up.
I mean,
terrible things to me.
That tracks. That works. But since we're talking about traveling, I heard that our first question made a very big road trip just to ask you a question.
Yay! Glad you got here safely.
Step on up to the microphone.
Where'd you come from? Hi! Did you drive? No, you flew!
I'm originally from Connecticut, but I live here now.
Oh, okay.
So you didn't come from Connecticut just to see me?
Not yet, unfortunately.
Faker!
I was given false information. But what's your name and what's your question?
Kylie. My question, well, first of all, I'm a fan, and my dad is a huger fan, so I have to shout out to him. Did you have a favorite or at least favorite scene in the film during any of the Young Gun movies, especially the first one?
Wow. I mean, so many. Honestly, I mean, it was just ridiculous. I look back at it now. People ask me, I don't have a favorite film, but it's like, what's the most fun you've had on a film? And Guns 1 and 2, and then maybe the big hit, because it's just a bunch of guys acting the fool. And we were having a fantastic time. Some of the stuff wasn't as fun as it looked. I mean, all the other guys were having a great, time doing the peyote scene, right? And they took me to this chimney rock, and I'm okay with heights, but I'm not thrilled with heights, And the top of the chimney rock is as big as this square. It's about like, 4 by 6. And it took 2 ladders strapped together to get me to the top of it. It was higher than this ceiling. And they put me up there, and I didn't know what they were doing this. They were always springing stuff on us. And then all of a sudden they filled the whole thing with smoke, and now I can't even see my feet. And Chris King goes, all right, now turn around to the 4 directions. So, yeah, that happened.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I saw online that there's a Young Guns 3 in the works. Can you say anything about that?
I can. It's a great script. Emilio wrote a fantastic script. I think he had help from John Fusco. Young Guns 3. One of the funniest things is he sent like a little mock-up of the poster where the word young has been shot out. So it's just Guns 3, Dead or Alive, which we often wonder sometimes, But it brings us all up to our own ages. I saw Kiefer just a couple of weeks ago, and he's really, really pissed that he insisted that he die in Young Guns 2. And in such a sort of undeniable way. People go, well, Lou, didn't you die at the end of Young Guns 2? I said, you never saw a body, and there was nobody on the spirit horse. All right? That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah, myself and Christian Slater will be back. Plus, I hear that he's putting together some really, really very cool younger names. So,
What's it like getting to work with them again and still revisiting this project so many years later?
It's a gift. I mean, it really is. I mean, some of the best memories of my life. That first day on the Young Guns film set, that's when I knew I'd arrived. My first 3 films in Hollywood were La Bamba, Stand and Deliver, and Young Guns in that order. And the first 2, La Bamba and Stand and Deliver, were little low-budget projects, and we didn't know if they were going to hit, if they would be successful. And obviously, they both went on to be very successful. But when I got cast in Young Guns and stepped onto that set, I was like, okay, I've arrived. I am the brown Brat Packer.
What is it about that franchise that made you want to return for another movie?
It was great. I mean, it's, you know what, one of the things I love, and one of the things I love about conventions, first of all, the fans of those films or other films, from the 80s or 90s, but there's just something special about the Young Guns films that meant a lot to, a lot of young men, of that generation. And now I'm getting the middle-aged guys coming up with their teenage sons going, I just showed them Young Guns, man, And it becomes this family thing, which is, it's really wonderful. I mean, La Bamba, Stand and Deliver, they have the same effect, where they hold special memories for people with their loved ones. And that's something that I'm very grateful for, because you make a movie in a bubble, it gets out there, you see the numbers, does it make money, does it not, whatever, you read the reviews, but you don't always get to know how it touches people and affects people's lives. And I compare this experience, this con-going experience, to the stage door, having done some theater work, a lot of theater work, where you get to meet the fans and you get to share the fact that, something passed between you, something was shared that was special, and it's a way of you to be able to say hello and for me to say thank you, so it all works out really well.
You really are generational, because you've even done stuff for the Wiggles, all the way. So you've got all the generations covered.
See, I call myself the Caramel Wiggle. Yeah, right? Because they're from all down under.
What color shirt would you wear if you joined
I'd
the Wiggles?
be the Caramel Wiggle, wouldn't I? Yeah, caramel,
And all blend together.
Yeah, maybe caramels not all the way together.
You gotta have bright, fun colors for the kids.
Yeah, right. Now there's a banana wiggle already. I just have to be another. What's missing from the fruit salad? Maybe kiwi. Or be a kiwi wiggle.
I love it. Here for it. Hi, what's your name and what's your question?
Hey, I'm Brian. My question is, in the Longmire series, what was your favorite scene or episode?
Wow. Okay. Two things. And yes, I loved every single episode. I'm proud to say, at least in my estimation, it's one of those shows. 6 seasons, there was never a bad episode. Every single one was great. Loved it all. Love that cast. I still see Katie Sackhoff fairly often, as you know, in the con circuit. Adore that woman. God, what a force of nature. Speaking of Aussies, you know, Rob Taylor's from Melbourne. He's pretty tough. I used to break into that, like between takes, you know, in the first season, and he was trying to lose his Aussie accent doing the Wyoming thing. God damn it, Liz, stop it. You know, cut it out, mate. So, I think my favorite storyline was with the wonderful Julia Jones, who I recommended for that role, playing Gab, who had been assaulted on the reservation, and her quest for justice, and Henry as Hector helping her out. I mean, I thought that was one of the opportunities that Longmire had to not only be a really entertaining show, but to shed some light on some social injustice. Because, you know, MMIW, the missing and murdered Indigenous women movement is still very, very strong, and it's a sad, sad state of affairs. So it was good to be able to focus on that story. Oh my goodness, when we lost the young boy who Henry was seriously considering adopting, that was incredibly difficult. I know that Zon McLaren and I had a really emotional day filming all those sequences. But then I directed an episode, which I absolutely loved. I absolutely adored directing that cast and working with that crew, because that crew, man, they were just crackerjack. They were just fantastic, really at the top of their game.
Thank you.
You've done a lot of directing. How has taking the step behind camera helped you when you get in front of the camera and are performing?
That's a very good question. I mean, it's interesting because it's not my bread and butter, but I did my very first film as a director, a thing called Dangerous Touch, which I co-wrote back in 1990. And I've been in the Directors Guild since '97, so I've been doing it a lot longer than people, expect. Because I wrote and produced and directed in college a lot of plays and a couple of short films and that sort of thing. And so it's something that I've always wanted to do. I've started directing a lot more TV now. Because to be quite honest, it's just such a great gig. Couple of weeks of prep, couple of weeks of shooting, and Bob's your uncle, you're out of there, you know? And you're working with a budget, usually on a network television show or a streaming television show, that is bigger than anything I ever had as an independent, director. And I love like young, enthusiastic, passionate casts, but also the fact that I've done some very diverse things. I mean, Fear the Walking Dead to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to Kung Fu, the cleaning lady I loved working with because there were a lot of representation, in that cast. Filipinos and Thai people and Latinas. My friend Kate Del Castillo was in this last episode that I directed, and we had done the 33 together with the very sexy Antonio Banderas about the Chilean miners who get trapped. So I spent like 3 months with Antonio Banderas with our shirts off, our big spread out with buttons. Ladies, let me tell you, I understand. But it's interesting, whenever I direct, my first job is to tell the story. Right there, close second is take care of the cast. But it also always reminds me to be the kind of actor that a director wants to work with, because you don't always get that. I mean, one of my pet peeves is when somebody shows up, they've got a network gig, I know how much they're getting paid. You people struggle for years, take classes, hit the bricks, do all of this to get that kind of job, and now you're going to show up and not know your lines and treat it like a hobby? I'm sorry, that's a cardinal sin to me. So I can't help you as a director then. I can only make sure you get all the words out, But if you come and you're prepared and you're ready and you're excited to work, then I will help you mold your performance and I will make you look really good.
What is the most important characteristic you think for a director to have?
Do you know how many directors it takes to screw in a light bulb? First-time directors. How many first-time directors does it take to screw in a light bulb?
They probably call the union first, right?
I don't know. What do you think?
Probably.
That's the answer. A director has to have a point of view. He has to, you have to make decisions, and sometimes the answer is, I don't know, and that's okay too. But you're there to serve, and I think having a vision, and doing your homework and being prepared. I mean, maybe even more so than acting, it's a journeyman's job. You are there to lead the crew, to inspire the crew and the cast, and get everybody moving in the same direction. And in television, you have to do it in a finite amount of time with a finite budget. You don't get to have Oppenheimer, tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Does your preference for directing and acting vary by genre?
This is my stock answer to this. They asked me what's my favorite. I have theater, television, film, directing, writing, whatever. What genre? My favorite genre is the genre of employment.
That is a
Love
very
that.
important genre.
Love that.
Hi, what's your name and what's your question?
Hi, my name is Barbara. I'm so glad you're here. As one Navy brat to another, my question touches on what you just mentioned, where you write, you direct, you act. When you're acting, you're a good guy, a bad guy, so-so guy, whatever guy, background guy. Of all the hats that you've had to wear in your public life or in your, your career life, what one do you like the most, or which one do you, I'd rather not put that hat on at all?
Acting is my first love. It's my bread and butter. I mean, it's. As much as I love the other things, I will never quit acting because I still get a charge out of creating a character. And what's amazing to me is that at this point in my life, I'm still getting a chance to play characters I've never played before. And to go back to my theater fundamentals and build a character from the ground up, and that's exciting. I have a really wonderful little film that's streaming now on Fandango and Apple and Hulu. It's called Et Tu, and I got to work with the legendary Malcolm McDowell, and I play a theater director, which was close to my heart, But Max Zanis, this young writer-director, wrote me these long freaking monologues. And, because he thought he was Soderbergh or Kubrick or something, he'd do it all in one take. And I was, I remember the first scene I did with Malcolm McDowell. We got up on stage and, rehearsed and everything. And he goes, all right, how are we going to break this up? He goes, oh, no, we're going to shoot the whole 5 pages in one take. And Malcolm goes, oh, he's one of those. And a minimum of takes. So I still love the challenge. So Et Tu's out there. I have another film that I'm actually really proud of. It's a beautiful film called Keep Quiet that is premiering at the Locarno Film Festival next month. And then we'll play the Oldenburg Film Festival after that in Germany. Another film called Aguadilla, which we shot in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, that was written by the producer and writer of Stand and Deliver, Tom Muska, and he co-directed it with his son Alex. And then later this fall, in October, I'm in a series called The Chair Company, which is a comedy with Tim Robinson, who's crazy. He's freaking hilarious. So once again, just getting to do many, many different things, and I would never give that up. But at the same time, there are films I want to direct. There are miniseries that I want to write. I'm working on my 3rd novel now. That is different than the Tinderbox novels that I have at the table, by the way. The first one and the second one. And they're signed by my wife, who did all of the illustrations. Plus, she came up with the story, so gotta give her credit. And a percentage, but anyway. But I do all the cooking. I'm just thrilled that I get to do it all. I don't have to choose, and it's nice. I take the next job that's coming along, including voiceover work and a lot of other fun stuff.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk about the Tinderbox, since you have that here, because one thing I love doing is selling books. and getting people and helping authors sell their books. So, how many of you guys knew that he had written books before you came here today? Okay, let's go. Tell these people what Tinderbox is about.
Okay. You know, I'm going to back up just really quickly into the genesis because, oh, he writes? He doesn't look that smart. No, I'm just joking. Self-effacing, come on. I was like 13 and I grew up in Corpus Christi, Texas, very Floridian, although we were stationed in Jacksonville at one point. My dad was Navy. So, you know, he's lived in Texas so long, my dad talks a little bit like this. You know. Grew up in North Carolina. Sometimes sounds like Foghorn Leghorn. And he says, son, what do you think you want to do for a living? And at the age of 13, I went, I want to be a writer, Dad. I was thinking about maybe something where you can make a little more money. And so I come back a year later, I want to be an actor, Dad. Son, that's not exactly what I was thinking of. But he supported me, you know. And the first thing I ever wrote was a really bad rip-off of like Stephen King. Fortunately, I don't think the one copy of it still exists. But I got to Hollywood, I mean, and through college and whatnot, you know, I was writing plays, I've written screenplays, but I got away from my narrative writing. And then my wife, Yvonne, and I, we met, and she was reading some of my screenplays, and she read a novel that I wrote in college, which is the one that I'm revising now. And she showed me all of her illustrations. And when she showed me the Tinderbox, she was doing frames that was going to be a graphic novel. There was a manga version of Hans Christian Andersen's The Tinderbox. So I looked at this and I went, oh my God, this is a movie. Because it reminded me, I mean, the manga influence, and this is in the 90s. So she drew them in the 90s. We met in 2004, but she drew them in the 90s. So she was cool before cool was cool. You know what I'm saying? She would have to go and like, you know, go to the bookstore and get the anime stuff or order it, you know, through the mail. And it reminded me very much of Star Wars because Star Wars, you know, is such a Kurosawa influence, you know, with Obi-Wan and all the robes and, you know, the samurai swords and whatnot. So she said, yeah, go right ahead. So I wrote it in space because at the time Game of Thrones hadn't happened. And the first book, The Tinderbox, which follows Hans Christian Andersen's plot, but I do a lot of really different stuff with it, is very much like Game of Thrones meets Star Wars. But I finished writing the movie and I went, this is so damn expensive, nobody's going to give me the money to direct this. And so my manager said, well, write the book and then at least you will establish the world. So I started writing the book. 10 years later, you know, my day job kept getting in the way. But during Longmire, I'd written 3 or 4 chapters, and finally, Craig Johnson and I had become friends. And I said, man, you know, I know doctors, lawyers, dentists, they get this shit all the time. I said, do you mind looking at this and tell me if I'm wasting my time? And he read the first couple of chapters, and he went, no, you need to finish this. And by the way, it was Craig's idea to magnetize the broadswords in the Tinderbox. So the first book did so well, the reviews were wonderful, the audience response was great, that we decided to do a sequel, but I thought we would plunder the fairy tale world again. But then one day Yvonne literally said, what about this? And she told me a plot that was so lifted from between the lines of the first book that it's almost as if we had planned it that way all along. So yeah, I have both books at the table, and Yvonne has signed them as well. There are not many of those out there that will have both of our signatures in them. So,
is there a book 3 coming in that series?
I have a concept of a concept, but I haven't totally wrapped my head around it just yet. Like I said, I'm actually nearing completion on a book that I wrote in college that I was still very enamored with. But then when I look back at the writing now, and I sometimes go, wow, you were a pretentious 20-year-old asshole, you know. And so fortunately, you know, I have a lot more experience, a much better sense of humor, you know, and I'm a better writer. But the idea was always good, so I'm redoing that. But it also really affords an opportunity for more of Yvonne's illustrations, but this time I think we want to go full color.
That'll be really pretty.
Yeah, this was really sort of set in nature, and it will be very, very botanical and natural. I'm really looking forward to see what she's going to do with it.
What's it like for you as a married couple having this shared creative endeavor to work on together?
It's wonderful, and I'm so glad you asked this, because so now I write the first Tinderbox, and she's going to illustrate it, and we've decided because like Stardust or Lewis Carroll's Alice, 2 books, Through the Looking Glass and Alice in Wonderland, the great Tennille illustrations. We decided, because it's what she grew up doing, that it would be sort of a German woodcut kind of style. And then immediately, when she sees what I've written, she goes, "I don't draw spaceships! I don't draw weird creatures! I don't do sci-fi!" So she was really angry with me, And then fortunately, David Bowie saved me. She saw an interview with David Bowie who said, "You've got to get out, into the water where your feet no longer touch the bottom, and then that's really where it's going to challenge you, isn't it?" And she was like, "Fuck David Bowie." But she did it, yeah.
Awesome. Hi, what's your question?
Hello, my question is, what was it like to voice Stan's half-brother Rusty on American Dad?
Stan's half-brother Rusty. Yes, the Native American. It was a blast. I mean, first of all, for them to ask me to do that, I was thrilled. And I've been doing so much more voiceover animation. I got a big thing coming out, but I signed that thing called an NDA, so I can't tell you what it is just yet, but it's coming soon, and it's a big one. That's all I got to say. No, I almost, no, I can't even make that joke. I thought, no, that was fucking, because you're recording me, and some lawyer's gonna...
Ruined for all of them.
No, you'll know soon enough, but anyway, yeah, I've done a lot of, somebody mentioned Elena Vavalor earlier, and then I was the hot Filipino fire chief Bill on Firebuds. I didn't realize that, all the moms with little, toddlers out there who watch Firebuds thought I was a zaddy. I thought that was hilarious. Right? And then, let me see, Spectre, a few. I'm in Call of Duty right now. So it was a kick. But I'd say what I even get more of a kick out of is getting name checked. I mean, realizing that I've been around so long that, I'm sort of this, part of pop iconography, right? And the last time that happened, and they never tell me. I sit there and watch television like everybody else, and Ted Lasso is in the pub in England, and he's talking to his therapist, and he goes, "Well, I'm going to go to one of my favorite English words, and certainly my favorite Diamond Phillips, the lute. The lute." So, he said my name. He said my name. Was it Family Guy has done it twice. He finds a skull in the backyard. I think he's digging a fallout shelter.
Oh yeah, Chief Diamond Phillips.
Chief Diamond, eat your piece, Chief Diamond Phillips.
And the whole episode makes fun of the movie Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Such a great episode.
Chief Diamond Phillips.
And then I end up with Carradine, which is wow.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
That was such a great episode.
So yeah, that's always a kick.
Thank you.
Welcome.
With your voice work, you've also voiced audiobooks, a whole bunch of them. Do you
Yes.
have any more of those on the horizon?
I did the second audiobook for the Tinderbox. I did Underground Movement, and her name just was Nicole Sullivan was the second person. R.C. Bray and Julia Whelan did the first book and got nominated for a Dragon Award, which was fantastic. But yeah, I love doing that. I've done a bunch. Some of the dudes know that I did like 4 Tom Clancy's. That's a freaking chore, I'll tell you right now, because that guy writes big books. He writes like 1,200-page books.
Thick.
They're really thick, and they not only that, I end up doing the abridged and the unabridged. So that's usually a month-long gig, 10 hours a day. And with Clancy, that was a real workout for all of my accents. If I didn't have one, then I had to like acquire it, you know, and because his stuff is set internationally, so there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on there.
Do you have a favorite accent?
Well, you know, the Aussie always, you know, it's a lot of fun. Which, you know, people get confused with the Courtney sometimes, because there's that. And then, of course, there's posh English. You know, as a matter of fact, in Florida, I did tour through here with the National Tour of Camelot and played King Arthur here on stage. We ended the tour here, and I popped out to Key West and had a Cuban cigar. So, you know, there's just a bunch, you know. And then there's the impressions that I do. A lot of people have said that Ed 2 is very much like The Shining meets Birdman. So I think you'll enjoy that one. And then the other one that I love doing all the time. I don't know, maybe they'll put me in the next Fargo movie, I don't know. It'd be very funny. You're good. You're good.
Hi, what's your name and what's your question?
My name is Jose. Yeah, I heard that the mom of Richie Valent, she was in a cameo of the movie La Bamba.
Yes, the whole family's in it. The whole family is in it. Connie, when Richie comes home, there's that handheld, you know, camera footage. She's the blonde woman sitting on the couch, and that's Richie's mom. But his little sister Irma, Connie, they're in the film as well as farm workers in the beginning of the show. A lot of other cousins and whatnot. What's wonderful, my friend Ann actually has this book. It just came out. Go take a peek at it, and she can tell you how to get it. It is a behind-the-scenes La Bamba book. Merrick Morton was a street photographer, and Taylor Hackford discovered him and said, come and take photos on the set of La Bamba. And there are behind-the-scenes photos that have not been seen in now 38 years. A lot of stuff with the cast, but also with the family, and you see them back there. But hold that up, that's available now. You can get it. And it's an amazing, beautiful coffee table book.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Darren.
I'm Alex. I have a question about Stargate Universe. Do you have any fond memories or any special moments with the cast that you can share, or anything about filming that show?
I love that show. I really, I mean, once again, like Wolf Lake and like Prodigal Son, great shows that got yanked far too soon. And Stargate Universe was one of those, and people really complain about the ending of it. Well, it's because 3 episodes, you know, going until the end of the season, they told us we were canceled, and it was like, no one saw that coming. No one saw it coming. But I absolutely love that cast. Still friends with Alana, still friends with David Blue. I mean, just really a great experience. And I love Vancouver. Vancouver's an amazingly wonderful town. I met my wife there. The Stones was an interesting thing. I mean, that may be the weirdest love scene I've ever done. Yeah, kind of a menage a trois, and tag you're in, you know. Yeah, it was very. Yeah, I have to say that she was very patient, the young lady that had to take, you know, me and Louis switching like that in the middle of, you know, of the same shots, and then they would just cut it out, you know, zap us in there. And the funny thing is, because Telford starts off as such a jerk, right? And then, you know, we find out that he's, you know, okay, spoiler alert, it's been a few years, you know, that he's brainwashed. And then, so now they start on a path that I found to be very, very interesting. And I finally had to turn to the writers and go, did I park in your space? Did I do something to piss you off? Because you've killed me 4 times. You keep killing me and bring me back. I know it's sci-fi, and I know you're having fun. Ooh, let's electrocute him this time.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Prodigal Son was cut way too soon.
Once again, understand, we didn't even see that coming. I mean, first of all, what idiot network approves a cliffhanger and then cancels you?
That's right.
I mean, come on.
Epic cliffhanger.
And the sadness of it is that they had to write it that way because we weren't sure if Michael was coming back. Michael would only sign a year-long contract each time because he's a very busy guy. But so they thought, okay, if he comes back, he'll survive. If he doesn't, okay, he died. You know, but and then maybe and COVID happened, and believe it or not, this was not our fault. They asked for a show. The COVID protocols cost an extra $20 million to make 20 episodes of television. And so I was literally getting on a plane to go to Vancouver again. By the way, I'm going to Vancouver to do another show, what I signed an NDA for, so I can't tell you what that is either. But I can't even spell NDA. So yeah, I was getting on a plane to go to Vancouver to do Easter Sunday with Joe Coy, playing myself, probably the hardest research I've ever done. The funny thing is I had to go quarantine for 2 weeks for 2 days worth of work. I know it was crazy. I was stuck in a hotel room. I watched a lot of movies. I literally got a phone call as I sat down on my seat, and it's Chris Fedak. He and Sam Slaver created The Prodigal Son, and our head writers. And I thought for sure this was him calling to tell us when we were going back to work for the 3rd season. And I said, hey man, how you doing? Okay, so when do we start shooting again? He goes, no, Lou, they canceled us. I said, that's hilarious. Seriously, end of July? No, Lou, they canceled us. And I was stunned. I was stunned. So I had a transcontinental flight and a lot of free drinks. So.
Hi, what's your name and your question?
Howdy, how are you? Hi, my name is John, and I wanted to ask you a question. My wife and I started binge watching a show recently that you made an appearance in. I'm not going to tell you yet what it is, but I wanted to get your...
There's a lot of possibilities here.
Psychic abilities. I was just wondering, I saw you on screen, like, oh my God, that's Phillips, oh my God. I wanted to ask you the questions like, how did the crew treat you? How did the actors treat you? Blah, blah, blah. You said a while ago, I couldn't believe we were seeing you. I'll take my answer, sitting down. It's Dallas.
Dallas?
Yes.
I loved that gig, by the way. One of my very, very first roles. I went to the University of Texas at Arlington, got a theater degree, a BFD in theater, I like to call it. Only the old folks get that joke. Okay. But I was teaching acting at the Film Actors Lab and doing a lot of little roles like that. I was paying the bills as an actor. I was actually really proud of myself. And then that one came along, and that audition was pure improv. And Rhodey Kent was the casting director for Dallas. She was also the local casting director who brought me in to meet Judy Lowry for La Bamba. So I got cast out of Dallas, Texas for La Bamba. But I had done a lot of smaller films in Texas by that point, and had worked with a lot of the crew. And so, and I had crewed with some people. I had PA'd, I had gripped, I had done, anything just to get on a set. And so the crew was like absolutely stellar to me. I will say, Linda Gray was so kind, was so lovely, and wished me luck at the end. So now, about a year later, I land La Bamba, and at their premiere, Linda Gray comes up to me and goes, "I knew it! I knew you were going places!" And I became friends, really good friends actually, with Larry Hagman and Patrick Duffy. I directed him in a TV Western called Love Takes Wing. And he was just, one of my actors was very, very difficult. Won't name names. Once again, being that, the kind of actor that, you want as a director. Getting this person to do what I wanted them to do was like pulling teeth. And Patrick watched a rehearsal once, and he literally said to me, Lou, just tell me where to stand. So yeah, amazing, but I think the lesson learned there. And here's another movie I did in Dallas, was a thing called Time Bomb. We lovingly called it Stink Bomb, because it was terrible. But it was Morgan Fairchild and Willie D. Williams, and both of them have remained friends since then. So early on in my career, I saw how classy some people can be, how generous and warm and without an attitude, and that was a huge lesson for me, for when I really treat younger actors like shit now.
And with that important lesson, we are out of time.
Children coming in, that's one.
So if you did not get a chance to ask your question, Lou will be at his booth, so you can go ask him there and talk. And what else at the booth? Buy the books. So thank you so much. Give it up for Lou.